Hi, everyone, and welcome to God's Plan, Your Part, a podcast where our goal is to read the entire Bible in a year, seeking to understand God's plan of redemption while discovering daily and practically your part in it.
Hey, welcome back to God's Plan, Your Part. Today we're looking at Joshua 19 to 21, and it is one of those readings that Jenny loves, not because it's something terrible, but because it's just actually super boring.
I don't love it, actually. I get excited about like one verse, which thank God it's there, or maybe like one chapter, thank God that's there. But I actually have an audiobook that I listen to for a class that I teach, and while I listen to it, if there's ever like a question in the text and it gives like a blank space for the answer to go on, it says the question and then it goes underscore, 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 underscore for the line where you would write the answer. And Ryan literally sounds like this person that reads the audiobook to me in chapter 21, because he literally says pasture lands like 52 times over and over and over again.
So this is an official record. Again, we've had some passages like this already, but it's an official record of who gets what lands. You're just reading an official record, so it reads that way. Should you read it? Yes, because we do believe it's inspired by the Holy Spirit and it is valuable, all scripture. There's a couple things to glean from it, not a ton, to be honest. But there are some things here. What do you want to talk about?
I was just going to say, the chapter that I read, chapter 20, the best one of the three, basically was like a callback to those cities of refuge. I keep wanting to say sanctuary cities. Not that.
It's a similar idea, actually.
Anyway, cities of refuge. And my question earlier was like, do we hear about these in the future of like somebody mentioned in the Bible that needed to use it, but there's not necessarily a specific time?
Not that I'm aware of on the spot. I might eat those words eventually, but I'm not currently aware of like a big story where somebody flees, although I'm sure they use them. So what's interesting about these sanctuary, I just did it, these cities of refuge, it is a similar concept in that you're providing safety for people who normally would not have it. The concept is the Levites are going to be spread out around the land. I think they make record that there's 48 cities of refuge across the land, which breaks down to about 4 per tribe. Basically, God is ensuring that there's equal access to priests, no matter where you live. So that is point number 1. And point number 2 is that there's equal access for safety to these people who may have committed manslaughter by accident and need to find safety. So it's cool that God spreads these cities out equally, and then we see the Levites taking possession of these cities and their pasture lands.
I was just going to say, and their pasture lands. You can't forget that.
Yes. So that's the concept. And we see that the land is all split up. There's like a sense of finality in these chapters, although there is going to be some more reading tomorrow.
Well, something before we even go into that, though, after all the allotment discussion is over at the end of chapter 21, that was one thing that really got me. I think it would just be helpful just to read it quick again.
Because you're talking about verse 43?
And 21:43 says, "Thus the Lord gave to Israel all the land that he swore to give to their fathers. And they took possession of it, and they settled there. And the Lord gave them the rest of every side, just as he had sworn to their fathers. Not one of all their enemies had withstood them, for the Lord had given all their enemies into their hands. Not one word of all the good promises that the Lord had made to the house of Israel had failed. All came to pass." So that is just like, what? Not one thing was left out. Every single thing that God had promised, he did. So that was just like, that's kind of cool. Like reflecting back on all the crazy things, God came through all of it.
So if you've been tracking with the podcast, that goes all the way back to when God said that to Abraham in a field. And if you think about the insanity of that promise.
And how much time.
A lot of time has passed. A lot of struggle has taken place. They literally moved out of the land into Egypt. They were enslaved. They moved out of Egypt. They're now coming into the promised land. There's been lots of trials and struggles. Like I think back to Sarah laughing.
Yeah.
Like Sarah's like, I'm going to have a kid. Yeah, right. And now it's like, well, actually, there's tribes and nations and cities, and it's a lot of people. It is worth noting that it is widely understood that this author is not the author that wrote Genesis through Deuteronomy. So the importance of that is it's not like somebody sat down and just made it up. And that is like scholarship supports that. You're going to find a couple people here and there that say, no, it's all made up. But the scholarship supports that this is several different authors, or at least two, and it's across a lot of different years. So the initial promises are recorded by most likely Moses, and then the fulfillment of the promises is recorded by somebody else. We think Joshua, but other people across a lot of years. So that should be supporting your faith that this is that significant. And probably it's a great way to land. Like, the Lord was faithful to his promises. We believe that to this day. You might read those passages and be like, well, what about all the people that were left? Because there's like definitely Canaanites stuck in some of these cities and they like hold possession of it. Basically what the author is saying is that they came into the land and they took possession of the land. We know that there were still people there, but it's because of the people's disobedience, not because of God's unfaithfulness. So God's faithful to his promise. We see it fulfilled. We're going to get like a little bit of epilogue tomorrow. But it's pretty cool to see this entire story take shape.
Yeah, it is really cool. This is the Abrahamic. Yeah, it sounds so weird. Abrahamic covenant being fulfilled. Before we jump into Judges, where it all unfolds and comes undone. Pretty much, right? You
see the fruit of the fact that they didn't stick to what they said.
So relish this moment because it doesn't last very long. Because it all feels like all like tied up and like neatly put together, and it's about to fall apart because we have one more day of Joshua.
Yep, that's correct.
And then we're right into Judges. Boom.
So what do you think is a good your part for today, Jenny?
I just reflecting back on that last section of 21 where it's talking about like not one thing that the Lord had promised failed. Like everything came to pass. And I think we'll see that even as we read throughout the New Testament too, how everything that God had promised about who was to come, Jesus came and fulfilled prophecy after prophecy after prophecy. Actually, all of them.
It's around 250,
so
depending
cool.
on, there's a low number and a high number. So it depends on what you're picking out specifically, but it's a lot.
Really cool. And it's really encouraging, especially as like there are some things that you might be hearing as we're reading through, some things that we are reading and like wrestling through that are like, wait, what? This is crazy. But knowing that all of the promises that were made across many years of history, somebody looked back and said, hey, he actually did all of it. And so that's really encouraging to our faith, my faith, especially when there are things that sometimes don't sit well or I get a little nervous about.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow and we'll finish out Joshua. So we'll see you then. Bye. Hey, thanks so much for listening to our take on God's Word. Stick around and listen to the Word on the second part of the podcast. Before we get in there, we just want to remind you can connect with us at any time on social media and YouTube at God's Plan, Your Part. Also, we are a listener-supported podcast, so if you ever want to help us out with the ministry that we're doing, you can do that by clicking the link in our description. And now, here's the reading for today. Joshua chapter 19. The second lot came out for Simeon, for the tribe of the people of Simeon, according to their clans, and their inheritance was in the midst of the inheritance of the people of Judah. And they had for their inheritance Beersheba, Sheba, Moladah, Hazar Shual, Bala, Ezem, Elatad, Bethel, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Markaboth, Hasmarathusa, Beth Laoth, and Sharunahen, 13 cities with their villages. Ain, Rimmon, Aether, and Eshan, 4 cities with their villages, together with all the villages around these cities as far as Baalath Beer, Ramah of the Negeb. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Simeon according to their clans. The inheritance of the people of Simeon formed part of the territory of the people of Judah. Because of the portion of the people of Judah was too large for them, the people of Simeon attained an inheritance in the midst of their inheritance. The third lot came up for the people of Zebulun, according to their clans, and the territory of their inheritance reached as far as Sarid. Then their boundary goes up westward and on to Mariel and touches Debethish, then the brook of the east of Jochanim. From Sarid it goes into the other direction eastward toward the sunrise of the boundary of Chisloth Tabor. From there it goes to Debereth, then up to Japhia. From there it passes along on the east toward the sunrise, the Gath Hefer, and Eth Kazin, and going into Rimmon, it bends toward Neah. Then on the north of the boundary turns toward Hananoth, and it ends in the valley of Iphathel, and Kata, and Nahal, and Shimram, and Idalah, and Bethlehem, 12 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the people of Zebulun according to their clans, these cities with their villages. The fourth lot came out for Issachar, for the people of Issachar according to their clans. Their territory included Jezreel, Chesulloth, Shuranim, Hephanim, Shion, Anaroth, Rabith, Kishion Ebez, Remeth, En-Ganim, En-Hadah, Beth-Pazez. The boundary also touches Tabor, Shahuzamah, and Beth-Shemesh, and its boundary ends at the Jordan, 16 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Issachar according to their clans, the cities with their villages. The fifth lot came out for the tribe of the people of Asher according to their clans. Their territory included Helikath, Hali, Betin, Ashaph, Elamech, Amad, and Mishiel. On the west it touches Carmel and Sheor-Ibanath. Then it turns eastward, it goes towards Beth Dagon and touches Zebulun in the valley of Iphatel, northward to Beth-Emek and Neeli. Then it continues in the north to Kabul, Ebron, Rahab, Hammon, Cana, and as far as Sidon the Great. Then the boundary turns to Ramah, reaching to the fortified city of Tyre. Then the boundary turns to Hosah, and it ends at the sea. Mahalab, Ashakib, Umah, Ephek, and Rahab, 22 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Asher according to their clans, these cities with their villages. The sixth lot came out for the people of Naphtali, according to their clans, and their boundary ran from Heleph, from the oak in Zananim, to Adnikadeb, to Jabneel, as far as Lakum, and it ended in the Jordan. Then the boundary turns westward to Aznoth Tabor, and goes from there to Hukok, touching Zebulun at the south, and Asher on the west, and Judah in the east at the Jordan. The fortified cities are Ziddim, Zer, Hamath, Rakath, Shinnereth, Adamah, Ramah, Hazor, Kadesh, Edrei, En-Hazor, Urin, Migdal-El, Horam, Benath, Beth-Shemesh, 19 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Naphtali according to their clans, the cities with their villages. The seventh lot came out for the tribe of the people of Dan according to their clans, and the territory of its inheritance included Zorah, Ishtal, Ishshemish, Shalabin, Ajalon, Iltalah, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, Eltekah, Gibbenoth, Baaloth, Jahud, Ben-Barak, Gath-Rimmon, and Marjakon, and Rakon with the territory over against Joppa. When the territory of the people of Dan was lost to them, the people of Dan went up and fought against Leshem, and after capturing it and striking it with the sword, they took possession of it and settled in it, calling it Leshem. Dan, after the name of Dan, their ancestor. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the people of Dan, according to their clans, the cities and their villages. When they had finished distributing the several territories of the land as inheritances, the people of Israel gave an inheritance among them to Joshua the son of Nun. By command of the Lord, they gave him the city that he had asked, Timnath-Serah in the hill country in Ephraim, and rebuilt the city and settled in it. These are the inheritances that Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun, and the heads of the fathers' houses of the tribes of the people of Israel distributed by lot at Shiloh before the Lord, at the entrance of the tent of meeting. So they finished dividing the land.
Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Say to the people of Israel, appoint the cities of refuge, of which I spoke to you through Moses, that the manslayer who strikes any person without intent or unknowingly may flee there. They shall be for you a refuge from the avenger of blood. He shall flee to one of these cities and shall stand at the entrance of the gate of the city and explain his case to the elders of that city. Then they shall take him into the city and give him a place, and he shall remain with them. And if the avenger of blood pursues him, they shall not give up the manslayer into his hand, because he struck his neighbor unknowingly, and did not hate him in the past. And he shall remain in that city until he has stood before the congregation for judgment, until the death of him who is high priest at the time. Then the manslayer may return to his own town and his own home, to the town from which he fled." So they set apart Kadesh in Galilee in the hill country of Naphtali, and Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and Kira Arabah, that is Hebron, in the hill country of Judah. And beyond the Jordan, east of Jericho, they appointed Bezer in the wilderness on the tableland from the tribe of Reuben, and Ramoth and Gilead from the tribe of Gad, and Golan and Bashan from the tribe of Manasseh. These were the cities designated for the people of Israel, and for the stranger sojourning among them, that anyone who killed a person without intent could flee there, so that they might not die by the hand of the avenger of blood till he stood before the congregation.
Then the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levites came to Eleazar the priest, and to Joshua the son of Nun, and to the heads of the fathers' houses of the tribes of the people of Israel. And they said to them, at Shiloh in the land of Canaan, the Lord commanded through Moses that we be given cities to dwell in, along with their pasture lands for our livestock. So by command of the Lord, the people of Israel gave to the Levites the following cities and pasture lands out of their inheritance. The lot came out for the clans of the Kohathites. So those Levites who were descended of Aaron the priest received by lot from the tribes of Judah, Simeon and Benjamin, and 13 cities. And the rest of the Kohathites received by lot from the clans of the tribe of Ephraim, from the tribe of Dan and the half-tribe of Manasseh, 10 cities. The Gershonites received by lot from the clans of the tribe of Issachar, from the tribe of Asher, from the tribe of Naphtali, and from the half-tribe of Manasseh in Bashan, 13 cities. The Merarites, according to their clans, received from the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Gad, and the tribe of Zebulun, 12 cities. These cities and their pasture lands the people of Israel gave by lot to the Levites, as the Lord had commanded through Moses. Out of the tribe of the people of Judah and the tribe of the people of Simeon, they gave the following cities mentioned by name, which went to the descendants of Aaron, one of the clans of the Kohathites, who belonged to the people of Levi, since the lot fell to them first. They gave them Kiriath Arba, Arba being the father of Anak, that is Hebron, in the hill country of Judah, along with the pasture lands around it. But the fields of the city and its villages had been given to Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, as his possession. And to the descendants of Aaron the priest they gave Hebron, the city of refuge for the manslayer, with its pasture lands, Libnah with its pasture lands, Jattir with its pasture lands, Eshtemoa with its pasture lands, Holon with its pasture lands, Debir with its pasture lands, Ain with its pasture lands, Jutta with its pasture lands, Beth Shemesh with its pasture lands, 9 cities out of these 2 tribes. Then out of the tribe of Benjamin, Gibeon with his pasture lands, Geba with his pasture lands, Ananoth with its pasture lands, and Almon with its pasture lands, 4 cities. The cities of the descendants of Aaron, the priests, were all in 13 cities and their pasture lands. As to the rest of the Kohathites belonging to the Kohathite clans of the Levites, the cities allotted to them were out of the tribe of Ephraim. To them were given Shechem, the city of refuge for the manslayer, with its pasture lands in the hill country of Ephraim, Gezer with its pasture lands, Kibzaim with its pasture lands, Beth-horon with its pasture lands, 4 cities, and out of the tribe of Dan, Elkti with its pasture lands, Gibbethon with its pasture lands, Ajalon with its pasture lands, Gath-Rimmon with its pasture lands, 4 cities, and out of the half-tribe of Manasseh, Tanakh and its pasture lands, Gath-Rimmon and its pasture lands, 2 cities. The cities of the clans of the rest of the Kohathites were 10 in all with their pasture lands. And to the Gershonites, one of the clans of the Levites, were given out of the half-tribe of Manasseh, Golan in Bashan with its pasture lands, the city of refuge for the manslayer, and Beshirath with its pasture lands, 2 cities. And out of the tribe of Issachar, Kishion with its pasture lands, Deberath with its pasture lands, Jarmuth with its pasture lands, and Ganim with its pasture lands, 4 cities. And out of the tribe of Asher, Mishal with its pasture lands, Abdon with its pasture lands, Helkath with its pasture lands, and Rehob with its pasture lands, 4 cities. And out of the tribe of Naphtali, Kadesh in Galilee with its pasture lands, the city of refuge for the manslayer, Hamath Dor with its pasture lands, and Kartan with its pasture lands, 3 cities. The cities of several clans of the Gershonites were in all 13 cities with their pasture lands. And to the rest of the Levites, the Merarite clans were given out of the tribe of Zebulun, Jokneam with its pasture lands, Karta with its pasture lands, Dimnah with its pasture lands, Nahalal with its pasture lands, 4 cities, and out of the tribe of Reuben, Bezer was in its pasture lands, Jehaz with its pasture lands, Kedemoth with its pasture lands, and Mephah with its pasture lands, 4 cities. And out of the tribe of Gad, Ramoth and Gilead with its pasture lands, the city of refuge for the manslayer, Manaim with its pasture lands, Heshbon with its pasture lands, Jazer with its pasture lands, 4 cities in all. As for the cities of several Merarite clans, that is, the remainder of the clans of the Levites, those allotted them were in all 12 cities. The cities of the Levites in the midst of the possession of the people of Israel were in all 48 cities with their pasture lands. These cities each had its pasture lands around it, so it was with all these cities. Thus the Lord gave to Israel all the land that he swore to give their fathers, and they took possession of it, and they settled there. And the Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had sworn to their fathers. Not one of all their enemies had withstood them, for the Lord had given all their enemies into their hands. Not one word of all the good promises that the Lord had made to the house of Israel had failed. All came to pass.
Thanks so much for listening to God's Plan, Your Part. If anything stuck out to you, if you have any questions, or if you'd like to receive a Bible, you can email us at godsplанyourpart@gmail.com. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, please consider supporting us through the link in our description. We love that you're on this journey with us, and we hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow.